Title: I just found out my dad spent over $120,000 of my mom's Social Security benefits, money that was supposed to be for me. I'm 23 now, and I'm still struggling to get by. Every day is a battle to cover the costs of college and make sure I have enough to pay for the basics. I work a minimum wage job just to stay afloat, while my dad, the man who was supposed to be my protector and provider, spent over $120,000, money that was rightfully mine. I just found out about it, and it's wrecking me. For years, I had no idea that my mother's Social Security benefits were set aside for me. When my mom passed away, I was just a kid, 9 years old, barely old enough to understand the gravity of what had happened, let alone the financial side of things. But somehow, my dad had control of that money, and for nearly a decade, he used it for his own selfish purposes. Instead of helping me build a future, he spent the funds on his girlfriend's luxuries and his own personal indulgences. I can still remember the way he would take trips or buy himself new things, all while I was left with the bare minimum. He'd buy me hand-me-down clothes from Goodwill or the local thrift store, clothes that didn't fit right and were often worn out. He didn't even care about providing me with the basic things a kid needs. When I was growing up, there were so many times I went to bed hungry, and I mean really hungry. It's hard to express what it's like to be a child and watch your parent disregard your basic needs, all while they live comfortably off someone else's money. I'm not talking about occasional neglect. This was constant deprivation. I'd have to scrape by with whatever food I could find, and I often went without. My dad didn't care enough to make sure I had food or the essentials, and I was left feeling invisible. On top of that, he was emotionally distant. He'd often belittle me and suppress any hopes or ambitions I had. He never took the time to listen to me or make me feel valued. I was a nuisance to him, someone he could ignore while he focused on his own pleasures. As a teenager, I tried to get by with whatever I could, but the lack of stability, love, and resources made it almost impossible. Had my dad given me that money, even part of it, when I was younger, my life could have been so different. I wouldn't have had to scrape together scraps to survive or feel so isolated. The opportunities I missed, the years I spent in struggle, all of that could have been avoided if he had just done the right thing. Instead, he chose to enrich himself and his new life, leaving me in the dust, struggling to make ends meet as an adult. I'm doing everything I can to make up for what I lost, but the damage is done. Every time I think about the $120,000 that should have been mine, it fills me with anger and disbelief. My dad made sure I had nothing while he lived in comfort. Now, I'm left to pick up the pieces of my shattered childhood, and it feels like I'll never get back what was taken from me. If you have a parent who is supposed to take care of you, make sure you're getting what's rightfully yours, because this betrayal is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's a weight I'll carry for the rest of my life. Update: the story continues, and I'm still trying to process what happened. Hey everyone, first off, I just want to thank you all for the overwhelming support and the kind words. It means more to me than I can express. Many of you have offered advice, asked questions, and shared your own stories, and I've been reading every single comment. I know that I'm not alone in this, and that gives me strength, even if I'm still reeling from the situation. Since I posted the original story, a lot has happened, and I'm still processing everything. I've done more digging into the situation, and some parts of the story are even more complicated than I first realized. For example, I found out that my dad wasn't just spending the money on himself and his girlfriend. He was also taking out loans against the funds, making it look like he needed the money for emergency purposes, when in reality, it was just more of his irresponsible choices. It's infuriating because he didn't even need the loans. He had my money sitting there the entire time, untouched and ready to support me. The part that hits hardest is realizing how long this went on. I mentioned that I didn't know about the Social Security benefits until now, but I want to clarify that it wasn't just about being unaware. I truly had no idea how much was involved. All I knew was that I wasn't getting any help. When I was younger, I thought it was just that my dad didn't care about providing for me. I had no idea he was hoarding money that was supposed to go towards my future. To make matters worse, he never told me about it. The man literally never mentioned it. In fact, when I was older and struggling even more with college expenses, I asked him about any kind of financial help, and he acted like I was crazy for even considering that he could assist me. I also want to address some of the questions about why I didn't go to anyone else for help, like a relative or social services. I get it. A lot of you are asking why I didn't seek help when I was younger, and I've been asking myself that same thing. The truth is, I was isolated. I didn't have family around that I could rely on, and the few people I did trust never knew the full extent of what was going on. I didn't want to be seen as a victim or a burden. It was easier to just deal with the suffering in silence, even though I know now that I shouldn't have kept quiet for so long. Since finding out about the money, I've confronted my dad. Honestly, it didn't go the way I expected. He was defensive, angry, and tried to justify his actions. He claimed that he was just trying to survive, and that he didn't know what else to do. When I asked him why he didn't even consider me, why he couldn't put some of that money aside for me when I was growing up, he couldn't answer. Instead, he tried to manipulate me by bringing up things like, "You've got to let go of the past," and "We all make mistakes." But let's be real, this isn't a mistake. This is betrayal. A mistake is accidentally spilling coffee on someone, not stealing money that could have made a child's life significantly easier. I'm still wrestling with the anger and confusion, but I'm also trying to take some steps forward. I've started to reach out to a financial advisor to help me figure out what my options are now. I'm looking into legal action, though I'm not sure how far I'll get with that. Some of you have suggested suing him for the money, and I'm considering it, but part of me still doesn't know if it's even worth it. Do I really want to drag this out in court? And even if I win, would that money be enough to fix the damage done? I'm also trying to work on my emotional healing. I know that this situation isn't just about money. It's about a deep, rooted betrayal from the one person who should have loved me unconditionally. It's not easy to come to terms with how much he failed me, and I'm still not sure how I feel about him. Part of me feels like I should walk away from him entirely, but there's still that part of me, the little girl inside, who wants a father. So this is where I'm at right now. I don't know what's next. I don't know if I'll ever get the money that should have been mine, or if the relationship with my dad can ever be repaired. But I'm trying to heal, and I'm taking it one step at a time. I'll keep you all updated as things move forward. Thank you again for the support and for listening. You're all helping me more than you'll ever know. Final update, the aftermath, and what I've learned. Hey everyone, I never imagined I'd be posting a final update on this, but here I am. I've read through all your comments, messages, and advice over the past few months, and I've taken a lot of time to reflect on everything. So many of you have been kind enough to share your own stories of betrayal, loss, and healing, and I'm truly grateful for the support. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but here's where things stand now. First, I'll address the elephant in the room. Yes, I pursued legal action. After weeks of deliberating, I decided that I couldn't let this slide. I spoke to a lawyer, and after looking at my case, we decided it was worth trying to recover some of the money. The process was long, painful, and emotionally draining, but it was also a way for me to take control of the situation, for once. I'll admit, I went into it with a lot of anger, expecting my dad to fight me every step of the way. But what actually happened shocked me. My dad folded. It was almost anticlimactic. He didn't even show up to court, and the judge ruled in my favor. But the victory felt hollow. The money I got back after legal fees was far less than what was owed, about $40,000, which isn't nothing, but it's not the $120,000 I had hoped for. That said, it's still a start. I'm using that money to pay off my student loans and clear some of the debt I've accumulated over the years trying to survive. It won't solve everything, but it gives me a bit of breathing room. Emotionally, though, it's been harder to move forward than I thought. I thought that once the money was in my hands, I'd feel some sense of justice, of peace. But the truth is, nothing can undo the years of neglect, the struggles, and the pain I went through. My dad's betrayal, his indifference to my suffering, that can't be fixed with a court ruling or a check. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on that, and I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that I'll never get back the childhood I should have had, or the relationship with him that I always wanted. As for my dad, he never really took responsibility for what he did. He tried to reach out once or twice after the case, but honestly, I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive him or trust him again. Every time I see his face, I'm reminded of how he let me down, and I just don't think that's something I can get past. Maybe he'll change, but I don't have the emotional energy to wait around for him to prove it. I've decided that for my own well-being, I need to walk away. The person I thought he was doesn't exist, and it's time I let go of that illusion. Now at 23, I'm trying to rebuild my life. I've been working a lot on healing, emotionally and financially. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I was either. I've made progress in therapy, and I've started to focus on my future, my career, my education, and my own sense of self-worth. The road ahead still feels long, but I feel more hopeful than I did before, and that's a huge change. Thank you all again for your support and kind words. I can't explain how much it has meant to me during this process. I've learned a lot about myself, about the power of sharing your story, and about what it means to survive and thrive after betrayal. If you're going through something similar, know that you're not alone. You deserve to be treated with love and respect, and if you're not getting that from your family, you have the right to stand up for yourself and seek justice, whether that's through the law, through therapy, or simply by cutting toxic people out of your life. This is the final chapter for me, but I'm looking forward to writing the next one with a sense of independence and strength. I'm still healing, but I'm moving forward. Take care, and thanks for listening.